How's everyone?
Right.
There's Roger. Okay, there we are. We are live on YouTube. Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Monlux. I'll be your host today for Epic Sketch Time. Epic Sketch Time has been an online drawing group that met every week for years and years and years and years, long since the pandemic. Anyway, my name is Mark Monlux. I live in Tacoma, Washington. My project today is I'm drawing an obscure horror movie monster. This one is from a movie called Siniger. And that's every day during the month of October. I'm going to try to draw an old obscure horror movie monster. And I'm 3 days late, so I need to get a lot of work done today. Next in was Roger. Roger.
Hi, my name is Roger Crown. I'm from Spokane. I'm an animated cartoonist. Today I'll be working on human anatomy practice. Thanks.
William, you were the next one in.
Hello, my name is William Carson. I am from Loganville, Georgia. And what I'm working on isn't a sketch per se, but if I can show off on my phone really quick. Hang on. I've actually been learning something called V-roids. Hang on. Let me turn off my green screen. Okay, it should be focusing.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm learning this thing called V-roid, which is basically virtual avatars that you can make for VTube streams or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Oh, very nice. And Bill, what are you working on? Why don't you introduce yourself, Bill?
I am Bill Morse. I'm a cartoonist and illustrator working in Seattle, Washington, and today I am working on some of the strips for of my comic strip Rhapsodies. I'm also doing a sketch challenge, but I spent way too much time on it this afternoon, so have to get back to my regular stuff.
And Han.
I haven't decided what to work on today yet. I'm thinking I'm going to learn how to do some figure drawing. So I'm going to trying to find a picture and then trying to draw it. Maybe it's going to have to be a monster.
So I thought I'd show you guys the movie poster. I finally finished it.
Oh.
Thing I've been working on for the last month in the background. Let me go into enable share screens. And I'm also trying to keep an eye out for Katie because I know she said she was going to be in a little late. Oops, come on, go in here. Where is it? And that's it. That's the movie poster for.
Cool, scary.
Oh.
And what took me so long was doing all these faces.
Wow, can I take a picture of that one?
Sure.
Friday the 13th.
Part
That's a long
5.
Friday. So they never decide to go on the 14th?
Oh, and here we have a few more people coming in. I'm going to. Hello, Katie. We were
Hi.
just doing introductions. It's your turn.
Oh, hello. I am Katie C on Instagram. I'm at Evil Girlfriend Media. I'm a writer and artist from Bonnie Lake, Washington. One of my favorite things to do is fan art in the style of family heirloom portraits, as well as tarot cards, and my own unique art. I think that's about it regarding me. Thanks.
And Nathalie, we do require that you show your face if it's just temporarily to confirm that you're over. Okay, you're over 15. And where are you from and what are you working on today?
Okay, I'm from Montreal, and actually I've registered to this activity because I've begun to do more art, and I'm trying like different things, and your activity seems interesting. So I'm always wanting to learn more. So that's why I'm here tonight. It's a try.
Nice. So Bill, why don't you talk about some of the watercolors that you've been doing this week for Inktober?
Yeah, well, I've been doing it for, technically it's not Inktober for assorted different reasons, but I've been doing what I'm calling the Everwood challenge, and it's named after its theme, where it's essentially the Everwood is a vast, huge haunted forest that's so large that it transcends realities, and which means that occasionally people will find themselves there when they weren't anywhere near it. So this is my challenge to practice my watercolors, which I let go stagnate since June. And so far I was happy that I haven't gotten as rusty as I thought I would. So here's what I just finished today.
Now you've been posting these on your Facebook page, right?
Yes, but because I started early, because my policy for the sake of my patrons on my Patreon account, and everybody is welcome to join that if they like. One of the perks I put on there is that people get to see everything a week early. So while I have not, so while this is number 10, the only thing you'll see, the latest one you'll see on my social media, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Tumblr is the third one so far. And as far as the rest of them, so anyway, here's the rest of them. So starting, there we go. So starting from the beginning, this is where our two protagonists find themselves in the Everwood, and the prompt was path. And in this case, the only way out of the Everwood, in theory, and surviving in theory, is to trust in the path and only the path. And then after that, we quickly see why with number day 2, where the prompt is roots. And then today's in a much more, slightly more lighthearted garden. And then after that, we have day 4, ancestors. And day 5, kind of week 1, witch. I sort of this one came out. I mean, it's not bad, but it kind of mediocre, I think. 5 and 6. Oops. Okay, 6, ritual, which I was pretty pleased how well the autumn colors worked. And 7, lantern. And let's see, 8 is hunt. I'm afraid that this one wasn't as good as as a lot of the other ones, mainly because of horses are my kryptonite. And then finally, one that I am, where is it? One that I'm extremely happy with, and I, at the moment, think is the best one, stone. And that is where I am with it so far. And I've been spending way too much time with it, but at the same time, I'm happy to see that my skills did not atrophy as badly as I thought they were, and I'm cranking out some good stuff.
Nice.
Currently, my biggest problem is a tendency to overthink some of the prompts.
Now, I'm curious if anyone else is working on projects throughout the month of October. A lot of this started with a thing called Inktober, where people would do one ink drawing a day. And I've done Inknote. I know Bill's done Inktober a number of times. I've done Inktober a number of times. One Inktober a while ago, I was drawing horror movie monsters, and I did enough of them that I put together a deck of playing cards, and those sold really well. And a bunch of the other artwork I've done over the years, I've turned into stickers and have those selling at my various conventions and online store. But I was kind of curious if anyone else has been doing Inktober projects.
Does it mean black and white ink or just color ink?
Well, it started off as a black and white ink project, but it's become very loose. Basically, just the idea of doing a little bit of art and seeing about doing a small drawing once a day for a full month and seeing what you could produce. Which is why Bill is doing watercolors every day. He wanted to.
So does the ink, does it have to be flowing ink or just like a fountain pen or?
Well, whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah, and the initial intent, the person who started this whole thing, he was trying to get back to his flowing ink roots because he'd become a digital artist. And so he was encouraging everybody else to use ink as their medium, which is why he called it Inktober. And if you went to online on, like, say, Twitter or someplace and did a hashtag search of Inktober, you would see hundreds of people participating in this throughout the world. And some people are still doing it underneath the moniker of Inktober, and other people are just doing whatever. They made their own prompts. Bill mentioned the word prompt, so it's fairly common for someone to post a list of things like, say, pumpkin or candle or cat, and have people pick everyone draw off that theme for that day. But since it's done strictly for fun, there's no real rules about it.
Yeah, and I frequently do a lot of other challenges on as well. So for example, I'm taking a break from it at the moment. My main ink sketch challenge for a ridiculous amount of time has been my A Song of Ice and Fire challenge, sketch challenge, of which I have about a month and a half left to do, and I will be very glad when I'm done. Unless, well, I'm pretty much convinced I'm done this time, though, and I have, at this very moment, I have no temptation whatsoever to start on A Feast for Crows.
Now,
Dragons, is that, I forget.
The Fire and Ice, that's basically for people who aren't familiar with it. That's the Game of Thrones book, right?
Game of Thrones is the first book.
Okay.
I'm on the home stretch of the third book, and as I said, I'm pretty much declaring that enough is enough. I mean, I think the main reason I keep doing it is ego driven, because since there's a lot of Game of Thrones fans out there, they get the most hits on my social media. Not that I don't intend to not do more a song's Game of Thrones art. I just don't see any need to do a daily sketch challenge with it anymore. And one reason I'm practicing my watercolors again is so that it'll allow me to do recycle some of the better designs as posters.
So I told everybody that there would be some big news. And so here's the big news. I'm no longer going to be doing Epic Sketch Time. I've been doing this for about 7 years. I basically, another guy named James Stowe started it. And when he started attending school, I kind of took it over from him. But I realized I've been really doing this more out of the habit. And I kind of need to free up my my Tuesdays a little bit. And I think a lot of people have gotten very tired of doing online meetings. Back when we started this, we did it via Google Hangouts, and nobody was meeting online, let alone having an online drawing group. So we've been doing this nearly every week for 8 years. So I'm ready to hang it up. And I know that some of you will be really sad, like Katie, I know you really look forward to this group every week. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put out an appeal to everybody who's gets notifications and ask if anyone wants to take it over. I called up Stowe, but he's busy on Tuesdays and can't take it over or take it back. Bill, you have.
It's too bad. For the few times I came in, I learned a lot from you.
Oh, thank you so
So
much.
here's my sketch of you that look like you.
Oh, hold it up more to the camera.
I don't know.
Oh, I see it. I see my eyes up a little higher. Oh, I'm loving that. That's great.
Okay.
Yeah, we've done a lot of drawing lessons on this group. We've had people from South Korea, South Africa, Australia. It's been a lot of fun. So I'll put out a query email on our list to see if anyone wants to take up the mantle. But unless someone else does, this will probably be the last time. But you'll get an email to that effect. Now, Bill, you have a monthly drink and draw.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell people when that happens? Because it's basically the same thing like this, isn't it?
Pretty much. It tends to be a bit more chattier and less drawing, but it still is very much like this. It's through a cartoonist group called the Cartoonist Northwest, and it's every fourth Thursday at 6:30 Pacific time, PM. And generally it's a nice group. It varies on how many people we get. I hope that things will start picking up a little bit now that it's not quite as pleasant outdoors.
Well, you usually get Donna Barr.
Oh yes, Donna always likes it because since she's out at the edge of nowhere, this is the Zoom conferences are mainly her main option for socializing with other artists. Another big name regular we get is David Chelsea, who's best known for his book on perspective.
And he's out of the Portland area.
Yep.
Donna's way out on the Washington Peninsula in Clallam, I think.
Yeah, Clallam Bay, right about 2 miles away from the reservation, I believe.
Yeah, I've visited Donna out there a couple of times. It's way in the middle of nowhere.
I should go one of these days as well. I keep meaning to do essentially a research trip up there because of the very excellent coastline But unfortunately, the one downside of being a proud pedestrian is you can't go to places like that on a whim. Though Donna keeps telling me just how good the bus system is.
I thought I was not on mute. I kept talking and I was like, I wonder
Oh,
why no
no,
one's responding to me.
So what have you been saying all this time?
Oh, just that I really wish that I had more time to continue this tradition because I feel like I would not be where I am as an artist. And I don't know how great that is, but I feel like it's significantly better than when I first started coming to Epic Sketch. So thank you so much for hosting this all these years. I think I've only been doing it 2.5 years. But yeah, I think the community and the mentorship have really really helped me. And yeah, I don't want to get all sad.
Okay.
And then I just wanted to know how your sticker convention went.
Oh, that's right. You weren't here last week.
Yeah.
Okay, so in Olympia, there's a place called Boom Gallery, and they're young contemporary artists who opened up their own gallery, and they like to sell things, affordable art, and have a lot of local artists selling stickers. And that reminds me, I still need to send them my price sheet. So they decided to put together a one-day show that was nothing but people selling stickers. And then they got a little bit of pushback. So they said, okay, 75 of it has to be stickers and the other 25% merchant, your other stuff. But
Right.
it was predominantly stickers. I went with another person was a regular of this of Epic Sketch Time for a while. His name is Stan Brown. And so he and I shared a table. We did it mainly just to hang out together more than anything else. And I didn't make a huge amount of money. I did net $250.
Woo!
So it wasn't but it's not one of those shows you go to make, though I'll tell you, there have been other shows I've done where I've not made $250 in one day. It was a little strange in that you had to bring your own tables and chairs. If you didn't buy a half table, if you bought a full table, you had to bring your table.
Oh, okay.
I think what it was they were doing it at the Olympia Armory, and they just lacked tables, but they had lots of room. If they had
Gotcha.
double the amount of tables, they had the space for it. I just don't think that the Armory had that many tables in stock, and the promoters weren't going to rent tables, which a lot of the shows have to rent tables and bring them in from a table supplier. like I know that I believe that some of the tables at the Tacoma Convention Center had to be rented one year. And I know that the tables had to be rented when it was Jet City instead of Grit City, that they had to rent tables then. I'm unsure whether or not the Puyallup Fairgrounds rents tables or not, or the promoters rent the tables out, or if those are supplied. But and I sometimes wonder about the business model. Who, what type of business is out there that they have a stockpile of tables that they rent out at any particular time?
Yeah, I know. Well, because that's like an armory. I know we're going, to that convention in Lexington, Kentucky, and we're going to like the big expo center that's right next to the University of Kentucky. And, we're getting provided our first table, but yeah, there's this whole contract company that you can rent additional tables for and all that. But I don't know, except for like a party planning or an event planning company.
I don't
Those
know.
will be the
There's a lot of places that rent furniture, right? I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if you see, you see there, if you go to a lot of these events, you'll see the brand name on the truck that's bringing them all in. But yeah, I think it's mostly party planning or.
Maybe that's the business I should have got into as a.
I mean, most of the convention centers are renting the furniture themselves. Had an interesting experience where when I was first starting in the Graphic Artists Guild, where that I found very educational. They were planning a small seminar at the local convention center. And oh man, the price tag on we were given the walkthrough, and the price tag on every last item that the convention had was mind-blowing.
Has anyone in this group done shows where they or rented events for, like, say, weddings and had to deal with anything like that?
Mm-mm. When Tim and I got married, we got married at a restaurant, so we were the only thing they didn't provide were the flowers, but they, contracted someone out that we got a good price on flowers from.
Yeah, I mean, another group that I attend has been doing their annual banquet at Red Lions, not Red Lions, a Doubletrees conference center down in SeaTac.
That place sees a lot of action, man.
Mm.
There are so many conventions and events that go on there.
Well, it's right next to the airport, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did NorwestCon for the first time in years last year, and so it was nice to wing by.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, thanks to my diet, I couldn't appreciate the breakfast buffet.
So Norwest Con is located at SeaTac, which is halfway
Mhm.
between Tacoma and Seattle, which is where the airport's located. And for several decades before there was an Emerald City Comic Con, before there was a Bellingham Comic Con, or before there were any of these other conventions, back in the 70s and the 80s, Norwest Con was about the only game in town, and they were a huge convention.
And there's still a pretty big one. But unfortunately, because of the timing, they get more than a little competition with the local anime convention that's at the same time.
Well, and the other places, they don't get the same amount of stuff that they did back in the day. They don't get the big A names in promoting the movies. There used to be all these movie premieres happening there and trailers being run, and big speakers like Isaac Asimov were regulars. And I remember the last time I went, Anne McCrafty was there.
The biggest name I ever saw there was David Brin.
But
George R.R. Martin was the biggest one I've ever seen.
over the years, it kind of became more and more of a party convention.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got absolutely nobody going negative on that. They all agree, don't you?
I think I've met people that just purely go there for the con parties. Like they don't even go for the programming. Yeah. I haven't been in several years. Kind of when I stepped away from the publishing industry, I wasn't really as hot of a commodity to be someone invited to do a lot of stuff there. And conventions are expensive. And so I started, it's more of a, unless it's something that I'm really, like had been going to Crypticon for years if I could, just because I, really love horror and enjoy seeing all the people that I know at that convention. But I had specifically been going to NorwestCon for, like business networking and stuff. And so when that wasn't really as big of a priority, because I was, not really doing anything in the industry, I just we quit going. And Tim isn't really that much into the science fiction community. So it was just kind of like, okay, well, if we had time and we were available, cool, we'd go, but otherwise. But we've made extra effort to at least come on one day of Crypticon, and we'll be doing a booth. I'm so glad I'm still going to get to see you on a regular basis, Mark.
Because we do the shows.
Yeah, because I'll at least see you at shows. I'll come and say hi to you. So
speaking of shows, the next one that I'm doing is the Bellingham Comic-Con. And
when is that?
The Bellingham Comic-Con is happening. Let me take a look. It's not this weekend. I got some postcards around here. I'll just look online at my calendar. The Bellingham Comic-Con is on the 21st and is held in Bellingham, Washington. Actually, a little farther south at the Silverdale Convention Center. It's a small show. But what I love about it is you have big shows where everybody brings everything. They pull out all the trucks. They take half their stores to the convention so that people can go there and there's a plethora of stuff to choose from. Because Bellingham is so small, people bring only the most expensive and most rare items. So you'll be getting silver and golden age comic book collectors going there because they know that they can get the rarest stuff. You're not going to have just boxes and bins of, you know, X-Men from, you know, the last 5 years. You're going to have a higher level collectors. And then they've always made a point of having local artists in there. And because it's a one-day show, it's not enough to get people who are farther afield or farther. There are some people who will come in from Oregon or even as far away as Idaho to attend. But much farther than that, you just don't see them coming in. But I love doing Bellingham. I've been doing Bellingham since they first started. Yeah, so he always makes sure that I'm part of the show. It got started by a guy named Eric Burris because he ran a comic book store. He no longer runs a comic book store in Bellingham, but and he's moved out of state, but he still does the show because everybody wants him to do the show. And he's always been on the look for another space in that area. It's just been very, very hard to find a space larger. And because he's been at it for so long, when I started with him about 10 years ago, again, there weren't nearly as many of these weekend shows as there are now. And there were no conventions happening in the Vancouver, BC area. So everybody in Canada would cross the border and come down to this show. And so people come to this show, they stay all day, and they just drop their wallets. And it's been like that since day one. So I really love the Bellingham show.
It's interesting you say that about Canadian participants, because I saw a lot more people from Canada come to Washington State SummerCon this year, because I talked to several of them, and it was like they were very enthusiastic about the things that they liked and they wanted to spend money on. So it is kind of interesting that you say that. That, you know, they come, they enjoy everything, and go home the same day, because that was what a lot of people were telling me. It's like, yeah, I'm just here for the day, for the con, and you know, I'll get that and I'll get that, because who knows if I'll ever, you know, catch you here again. So I kind of concur with that assessment. Which I saw Washington SummerCon is doing a gaming convention on top of their.
Oh, this is news to me. They're doing a gaming convention, huh?
I saw that they mentioned they were doing a gaming convention, yeah, on top of everything else. And so I thought you knew about this.
I did not know about the gaming convention.
Yeah, well, I don't know that he sent out, you know, an announcement for vendors. It looks like a mini version of like PAX is what he's aiming for here.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought so.
Because I don't do the gaming conventions.
No, me neither, but I just thought it was cool to see his business thriving. that he's got enough funding and, you know, his events are taking off. I just hope he doesn't get rid of Washington Summer Con, because I was like,
Oh
I
no,
really like
he
that
won't.
convention.
He won't get rid of SummerCon.
Yeah, Tim and I definitely want to continue going to that convention, and as long as he'll accept us, because we really enjoyed it.
I just could not imagine when he first did, you know, his first time doing SummerCon. It was it was called the Toy and Geek. It was just called I think it was just called the Puyallup Toy Fair, and I just
Yeah.
heard about it and I said, hey, please give me a table. I got some other artist friends. We'd love to do this. And it was this tiny thing, a
Yeah.
really tiny, it didn't even fill up half of this tiny building. And, but man, he blew it out of the park with attendance. And it was nonstop busy all day long. And then he expanded from a 1-day show to, was it a 2-day show or a 3-day show? He just went right off the bat. He just went really big. Took out the main hall, the main area, which is a huge area. Made it into the second largest comic book convention in the state. I mean, rivaling the size of Emerald City almost.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe, oh my God, he had like a dozen big B-list celebrities showing up. And that blew my mind. And I thought, oh my God, he's over expanding. He's got like 4, you know, jumping castles, and he's got the military coming in with their aircraft, and he's got all these vehicles, like a mini car show of celebrity show of cars and things. But no, he nailed it. And it's been going strong and even growing. Now it's in 2 buildings.
Yeah.
Oh. So you were in the same building as I was, I think, last year.
Yep. Yep. We did just, I mean, well, we made about, I think it was about $1,000 less than we make at Texas Frightmare, but we still made quite a bit for a local con, and we were very, very happy with that.
Plus, you didn't have to travel out of state.
I know. So to do that well at a local con was just, it was really nice, because then it was like, oh, we sleep at home in our own bed. The dogs are happy because we're home, and, you know, everything in our lives are about our dog's happiness. So if the dogs aren't happy, none of us are happy. So
Bill, I'm always surprised that you don't have a pet, not even a goldfish.
I've got plants.
I laugh mockingly.
Whole apartment.
Yeah, I don't know. We had unfortunately we had a passing in our
Oh,
in our
I
household.
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we're down to 3 dogs, and we're kind of beside ourselves because we've never had this few dogs. And our dogs are beside themselves because they're like, our pack is getting smaller. But the current plan is just for me to continue to donate to charities. We're not ready to bring anyone else into our home, and so I'll just continue to donate, and the right puppy, if we're supposed to have any more, will come. All of our dogs have just fallen in our lap, so they'll be here when they're supposed to be. And these two rotten chihuahuas, you know.
Mhm.
Oh, but they're so cute.
Mark, am I still going to be allowed to send you images when I'm like, what is wrong with this?
Yes, you're more than allowed.
Okay, just making sure that technical assistant
You can
privilege is
always
still
reach
a
out
play.
to me on Facebook.
Okay.
Reach me on Messenger.
I have once again picked a character where it's like I'm trying to make her face look better, and I'm like, there's just something wrong with this face compared to the original, image from the. I'll have to figure it out. It's okay. It's just not working, but it's not a flattering angle for the actress. So that kind of compounds the problem.
I'm trying to draw this particular creature
Yeah, I
with
mean,
its mouth open rather than its mouth closed.
even with your level of your usual obscurity level, this is another one I never heard of.
Yeah, this is a very obscure one. It's very much a B level. It was sort of like an Alien ripoff.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure that once I show it to you, you will agree.
So why don't, Mark, if you're really busy, why don't you space the, like every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or every month instead of every week?
Oh, you're still trying to get me to do this.
Yeah.
Since you don't have any inheritor?
Well, part of it is I'm trying to free up my time for another project.
Oh,
Oh,
So-
okay.
And
Can you talk about that project or no?
you know, it might come to pass. What I want to do is, you know, I'm a middle-aged white guy, so what do I want to do? I want to do a podcast. So
I knew you were going to say that.
you're going to do what?
Podcast.
a
A
podcast.
podcast.
One of the things I like a lot is I like talking about movies. And I came up with an idea for a podcast where I don't like to tell people the stories behind movies because I think it gives away the spoilers. But the whole purpose of this podcast is for people to describe a movie story to me and for me to guess what the movie is about.
Oh my God. Okay. That sounds
Okay.
fun.
Yeah, and some people could how many hints can you give me before I can actually guess what the movie is? I'm going to give it a time limit, and of course you can start off really coy, like, oh, here's a clue. I'm going. Girl travels to foreign climes, kills, meets new friends, and kills again.
There's too
Can you
many
guess the
those.
name of the movie?
She did. She does what again? She
travels to a far off place. Upon arrival, she kills somebody. She meets some friends, and with her friends, she kills again.
Hostel.
No, it is The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. There you go. We all know where my mind went. Horror movie. Well, I guess, you know, Wizard of Oz could be a horror movie too.
But
You should have Tim on it.
oh yeah, I think I'll call up
Yeah.
Tim. I might call you up. But the thing is, you're sort of like, you start saying, you know, how would you describe, like, say, the Maltese Falcon without saying the word the Maltese Falcon? Oh, you'll say, well, this is a noir film. Okay,
Yeah.
it's set in 1948.
San Francisco.
Yeah, it's got a screen legend.
Okay.
You know, it's got one of the world's most recognizable MacGuffins in it. First of all, you have to know what a MacGuffin is.
Right.
And then on, and I'm kind of going, okay, maybe I can, MacGuffin, you know, a noir with a MacGuffin. Okay, there's only a very, you know, it's easy enough. The most recognizable one would be the Maltese Falcon, and bam, I would guess it. So that would make a very short podcast. But so I'll have people talk about two movies. The
Okay.
first movie would be their favorite movie, and give me the spoilers for their favorite movie. And their second one is when people ask me what my favorite movie is, I like to switch it on them and say, okay, listen, sure I can tell you what my favorite film is, but then that's me just trying to be highbrow. What you should really be asking is, what movie have I watched more than any other? What's my guilty indulgence movie that I just have? And for me, the movie I've seen more than any other is John Carpenter's remake of The Thing.
Mhm.
I've lost count. I mean, I've watched it more than The Wizard of Oz. I've watched it just in the theater alone. I watched it at least 7 times because I just loved that film. So I thought, okay, that's a fun way of doing at least 40 minutes. And if one of the movies turns out to be a horror movie, I would pull out one of my horror movie bingo cards and ask if it contains all the elements on the horror movie bingo. And I hate to say it, folks, but it's happened. We are here. It's at 5:30. Once again, you have watched another episode of Epic Sketch Time, the last Epic Sketch Time. It was a pleasure hanging out with all you guys. If you have questions on drawing art, please send me an email. Feel free to send Bill an email. I know he loves these questions too. But it's been a blast. I'm going to send out an email to the mailing list letting everybody know. Oh, that's great. Thank you so much, Roger. And if anyone wants to pick up and carry the torch and go on with Epic Sketch Time, then I'll just hand over the keys of the city to them, so to speak. But thank you, everyone. And
Thank you.
bye.
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 Bye, Han.
You should do a TV show instead of podcast. And instead of Vanna. Okay, and then you have a person like Vanna White, instead of moving the letter up, he would leave the Q. So he put the Q on, and I said, "Oh, Q number 1, Q number 2." You see?
I will. Thank you so much for that
Your
idea.
Katie could do the Vanna White thing.
Bye, Han.
Okay, let us know
I
what
will.
happened.